So let's dive into my top prospects at each defensive position so far. During the 2024 college football season, we've been grading these prospects throughout. Ahead of the 2025 NFL draft, this process will continue all the way through the NFL Combine, leading up to the final days before the start of the 2025 NFL draft. Again, these are based on the early pre-combine grades. We still have the Senior Bowl and all those events to grade and figure out. And as I always say, a lot of this stuff could change down the road. Now, before we get started with the analysis, I want to remind you to check out our website, footballscout365.com, where you can find all of our written NFL draft content, our NFL draft big board, our NFL draft player rankings, and a whole lot more. You can find all of that on our website, footballscout365.com. All right, so I'm going to start with the number one overall prospect on a lot of NFL draft big boards, and that is Colorado's Travis Hunter. I have had Will Johnson and Travis Hunter going back and forth at the top of the rankings throughout the process, at least this early process anyway. I have him listed as an athlete because I don't know whether he's going to, commit to being a wide receiver or a DB, or if he's just going to try to go do both at the NFL level. Now, I personally would prefer that he play defensive back because I tend to favor defense over offense. But if he is going to enter the NFL draft as a DB, he would be in the running to be the top cornerback prospect and the top overall prospect alongside Michigan's Will Johnson in the 2025 NFL draft. Now, speaking of the cornerback class, this is a very talented corner class. There is a lot of talent. There's good depth at this position. There could be 4 to 5 first-round corners in this class and a few steals that I think are going to fall into day 2 and day 3 of the draft. Now, with that being said, I have 2 players I love at the cornerback position in this class. I tend to lean towards Will Johnson a little bit more because he is a full-time defensive back. So I am going to give that title to Will Johnson until we know a little bit more about Travis Hunter and what he's going to declare. Now, with that being said, I have 2 players that I absolutely love at the cornerback position in this class, but I tend to lean more towards Will Johnson being the cornerback 1 in this draft class because he is classified as a full-time defensive back. So I'm going to give him that cornerback 1 title for right now. Will Johnson, I actually did an analysis video of Will Johnson comparing him to Travis Hunter earlier this year. You can check that out here on our YouTube channel. Also have a written analysis that breaks it all down a little bit more in depth, some statistical stuff, some video stuff that you can check out on our website, footballscout365.com. Now, as far as Will Johnson is concerned, he is the closest thing to a Patrick Surtain clone as you will get. He's one of my surest things in this 2025 NFL draft class. He's going to be a guy at the NFL level. He is a big physical defensive back. He flourishes in both zone coverage and man coverage. I think he really flourishes more in zone coverage where he can read and react to the football, but he can also play a physical brand of press man as needed. I love his game overall. The dude has been injured though for half of 2024. A lot of people thought he was just shutting it down for the year. That is apparently not the case from what I understand. He is going to be back to finish out the Michigan football season. By the way, he is actually responsible for 2 pick sixes this year, by the way, that closed out wins for what has been a bad Michigan football team on the offensive side. That is something to consider, just his impact overall as a player. We talk about Travis Hunter and his impact as a player for Colorado, obviously playing over 100 snaps a game, offense and defense and all that. Will Johnson has produced in that kind of a way for Michigan this year in the games that he has been a part of. Now, as you guys already know, Will Johnson, he's matched up with some of the top receivers over the years: Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze a year ago in the national title game. And he's going to have the opportunity to potentially match up one more time with an phenomenal elite freshman wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State to end the season. So I'm interested to see how this goes for Will Johnson, how he's going to close this thing out if he does in fact come back to finish the season for Michigan. The next player that I want to highlight is at another key position, and that is the edge rushing outside linebacker role. Now, this class is going to be a pretty good one in terms of the edge rusher position, players that can really get after the quarterback. There is good depth in this class at that position. Now, like the cornerback class, we could see as many as 4 or 5 edge rushers going in round 1 with a lot of good day 2 and 3 potential. Now, the NFL, they have seen their fair share of these hybridish style outside linebackers that are good edge rushers, in addition to guys who can drop back into coverage as well. Some are considered to be undersized. but we have the perfect outside linebacker in the 2025 NFL draft. And that guy is coming out of Georgia. That is Mykel Williams. Now, Williams, he is my number one edge rusher in terms of grades currently. This is a true edge setter at the position. He can play the run effectively. He has that true ability to just put his hand in the dirt in a 4-3 style defense, or he can stand up in a 3-4 situation as well. He is a very versatile player in that kind of way. You can move him along the line of scrimmage as needed. He has great length, by the way. This is a 6'5", 265-pound player. There's some room to build on this frame as well. This guy has all the tools and the ceiling potential to be potentially the best player in this draft class as we move forward. We could look at this guy 3 to 5 years from now and say, wow, Mykel Williams, he elevated his game and he became the best player from that 2025 NFL draft class. We'll see how it pans out, but that's just how it looks on tape in terms of his overall potential. And really, it came down to Mykel Williams in the grading and Abdul Carter from Penn State, by the way, who is also grading really highly as the potential edge 2 in the 2025 NFL draft class. That is Abdul Carter. Okay, so that is your top cornerback and edge rusher. Let's talk about the top off-ball linebacker. Now, this is a position that is always in need at the NFL level. Now, this class doesn't provide a ton of depth at the linebacker position in terms of the off-ball linebackers. It's not a super talent-rich position in the 2025 NFL draft, but at the top, we have another Georgia Bulldog, by the way, and that is Jalon Walker, who is the top graded off-ball linebacker so far. Now, some people are grading him as an outside linebacker or an edge rush hybrid type of player, and that's really what he is at the end of the day. His versatility at the position, it really allows a defensive coordinator to align him all over the formation. He could be at weak side linebacker. He could be in the middle, aligned in the A or B gap, or this guy could play off the edge and get after the quarterback. Walker is a true football player in every way that you want to put it. He does remind me a little bit of Micah Parsons stylistically as far as versatility. He's that chess piece kind of player that NFL defensive coordinators absolutely love. I can actually see Walker going in the top 10 of the 2025 NFL draft. I don't see him getting out of the top 15 picks because of his versatility. Now let's talk about the deepest position in the 2025 NFL draft, and that is the interior defensive line position. There is a chance that we could see between 4 and 6 interior defensive linemen, and I'm talking about the true 1 and 3 technique interior players going in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. Now I have 2 going in the top 10 currently that I have projected in the top 10, and there could be as many as 8 to 10 interior defensive linemen going in the first 2 rounds of this NFL draft class. Now, as far as the top name, that is going to be another Michigan player, and it is Mason Graham. Now, Graham is a versatile interior player. He can align at 3 tech. He can align at 1 tech. I've seen him at the 4 and 5 tech. This guy has played on the edge this season. You've seen it. A lot of Michigan fans complaining about Wink Martindale, playing him on the edge, but Wink loves the versatility, is trying to use him in an Aaron Donald kind of role. And when you say Aaron Donald style player, he's a bigger version of an Aaron Donald style player. Graham, he is 6'3", 320 pounds. His length is what most people are questioning, a little bit shorter on the arms, but that's not a worry for him on the interior, where he wins a lot of his battles with that first step quickness and his ability to transition from that speed to power in the middle of the defensive line. This guy is a game wrecker, especially in the run game. He can get after the quarterback and make plays in that way as well. You see it on the tape. Flip it on. If you want to study the defensive line position, you start with Mason Graham. Go back to the 2023 tape and work your way up to now. You're just seeing a dominant interior defender on the defensive line. Mason Graham could actually be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. It really comes down to him, Travis Hunter, and Will Johnson, in my opinion. Now for the last position, the safety position. Now, the guy that I am going to reference will play more of a nickel role at the NFL level, but a nickel is just an extra safety, by the way, in the box, especially at the college and NFL level. The way that they're trying to defend NFL offenses and college offenses these days, things are a lot more spread out. You need that extra DB, and that extra defensive back has to be almost like an extra linebacker / corner / safety on the field. You got to be able to cover twitchy slot receivers. You got to be able to cover a running back out of the backfield from one play to the next. And then you got to be able to flip around and be big and physical enough to cover some of these bigger, faster tight ends at the NFL level. Now, the safety position, it's not deep in the 2025 NFL draft, but there is good talent out there. There's a lot of role players that can be added to an NFL defense right away that I believe can make an impact. But the top safety in this particular class is going to end up being Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Now, at the NFL level, Malachi Starks, he kind of projects as that Brian Branch style player in the NFL. And I have him currently going in the top 10 or 15 picks. I have him graded as a top 10 player. He's actually in the top 6 or top 5 of my current rankings right now. I don't see a world where this guy can fall out of the top 15 picks of the 2025 NFL draft. Okay, I do want to provide a few more names on the defensive side of the football since my rankings are essentially Michigan and Georgia players on the defensive side of the football. I mentioned Abdul Carter on the edge for Penn State. He's a versatile edge linebacker that can line up all over. He could easily be the top edge player off the board in this draft class. Other top corners that are out there, Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame, Siobhan Revel, who tore his ACL. He's coming out of East Carolina, so we'll see how he recovers from that. But I don't see teams, really penalizing him too much for that. He's probably going to go in the late first round of the 2025 NFL draft. Now, another interior defensive lineman that I love is another Michigan player, by the way, and that is interior defensive lineman Kenneth Grant. Now, Grant is one of the most athletic 340-pound interior players that I have ever watched on tape. He could easily be a top 15 pick in this class. I could see him going top 10. Another edge player to keep an eye on, Nic Scourton from Texas A&M, another potential top 10 pick. What about the preseason favorite, by the way? I don't want to forget about this guy because this guy could absolutely be a top 15 pick as well. He's not going to fall out of the top 20. There's no way. And that is Tennessee's James Pierce, another guy that was considered to start this season or before the start of the 2024 college football season. He was considered the top edge rusher ahead of the 2025 NFL draft. He's fallen a little bit in that regard. Not a lot of people have him as the top edge rusher. There are still some people out there that have James Pierce up there. I currently don't have him up there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 10 in the 2025 NFL draft. So once again, this is going to be one of the deeper defensive classes in recent years. And I know a lot of people are complaining about the lack of scoring in the NFL in 2024. The 2025 defensive class is not going to help with that issue whatsoever. So if you love defense like I do, this 2025 NFL draft is going to provide plenty of high-level defenders that we are going to be discussing for years to come in the NFL. Okay, let me know your thoughts about the 2025 NFL defensive draft class. Who is your top defender in the 2025 NFL draft as it currently stands? Are there any sleepers that I need to look out for that you really like? Please let me know in the comments section. Once again, I want to say thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to check out the written analysis covering all of the defensive positions. You can find that on our website, footballscout365.com. I will link that in the video as well. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more great NFL draft content.